Hey guys, this is Dr. Reed and my buddy Quam. How's it going, man?
Hello, guys. I'm doing great. What about you, Doc?
I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay. So, I'm a psychiatrist, right? And we always have pharmaceutical drug reps to drop off information all the time about some of the new medications that are approved for certain disorder. Okay, and this is Cobenfy. Um, Let me see here. It's a new treatment for schizophrenia. So what I was going to do is just review this Cobenfy.
So, is
With,
it like a new drug which is introduced?
yeah, it's a new medication used to treat schizophrenia.
Mm-hmm.
And
I
so,
was reading about it just now, and
oh really? Did you know about it also?
I was like after you shared the topic, I
Hmm.
was going through it on like typical Google search, and
Mm.
so what I found was that it is muscarinic agonist.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
along with another drug which is muscarinic antagonist to like balance the effects to balance the side effects of muscarinic agonist.
Hmm.
So like the second drug tamsuline, I think it doesn't cross the blood brain barrier, so it takes care of all the side effects of like rest of the body. And the other drug, it acts on the brain and thus relieves alleviates these these symptoms of schizophrenia.
Yes, isn't it a really interesting strategy
Yeah.
that they use here? You didn't think that this type of planning or negotiation would be happening at the molecular level, do you?
We are literally playing with we are playing with this.
Playing with God, no, they're playing with these. It's amazing that when I read the mechanism for this too, also it's just very amazing. It's amazing how these people create these things. Just absolutely amazing. So let me see here. Let me try to. Can you read this, or do I need to try to increase the size of the font? See,
I think
free.
I can read it for sure.
Okay, yeah, maybe I just need to zoom in. Okay, what about like this?
Yeah, it's like it was readable before, but it
Okay,
is great now.
all right, great. Okay, great. Okay, so I just went ahead and put on AI mode for group search Cobenfy. Cobenfy is an oral prescription medication approved by the FDA for treatment of schizophrenia.
Hmm.
Okay. It works. It's a first in class medication that works by a different mechanism other than antipsychotics, and because it works by a different mechanism, they thought believe it's going to have thought to believe to have added benefit.
Hmm.
Antipsychotic medications typically block dopamine,
Hmm.
but this one does not target dopamine. It targets something else. Okay.
Yeah.
Here, key information. And this would be very useful for my patients who would be prescribed these medications. Mechanism of action. Unlike most existing antipsychotics that block dopamine receptor, Cobenfy, which is xanomeline and tropicium chloride, is thought to work by activating muscarinic acetylcholinergic receptors. Right, specifically the M1 and 4 receptors in the nervous system to help manage the symptoms. And so, yeah, this is a novel approach, and the symptoms of schizophrenia are produced by excessive dopamine in certain parts of the brain. And that excessive dopamine is what's responsible for what we call the positive symptoms of schizophrenia. And the current knowledge was the theories was okay, if we were to block dopamine, then we can manage the symptoms of schizophrenia.
Yeah.
However, this medication doesn't target dopamine; it targets a completely different receptor called a acetylcholine muscarinic
Hmm.
receptor. And
Because
mhm.
because by blocking dopamine, we can have these side effects of muscle rigidity and yeah, and what do you call it?
Muscle tightening, dry mouth,
Muscle tightening. Yeah, because yeah,
blurry
so
vision.
basically anti-relaxation.
Yeah, because the basal ganglia and all the movement is powered by dopamine.
Yeah.
So if you take an anti-dopaminergic agent, it's going to cause problems with your movement,
Yeah.
right?
So it
But
is
this,
great approach, yeah, to
yeah, so
act
this
on
is
the muscarinic
completely
receptors.
different receptors. Now, muscarinic, complete receptor, and I think what's happening is that muscarinic receptors, if you activate those, they eventually cause a decrease in the amount of dopamine that's released. I
Mm.
think that's eventually the strategy, right? Okay. And so these receptors are in the central nervous system. The tropium chloride component primarily acts in the peripheral tissue to help minimize the side effects like nausea.
Doc, it isn't being shown here on screen.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, great. Here. All right. Yeah. So Cobenfy is thought to work by activating muscarinic acetylcholine receptors, specifically one and four, in the central nervous system, only in the brain. The tropium chloride component primarily acts in the peripheral tissue to help minimize the side effects like nausea and vomiting. Administration, it takes 1 hour or two before meals. Efficacy is associated with significant, Cobenfy was associated with significant symptom improvement across positive symptoms such as hallucination, delusions, and negative symptoms. I'm not sure how effective it's going to be on negative symptoms though.
Mm.
Um, but this is really interesting. Let me see. Describe.
Also, Doc, I mispronounced this tropsium earlier, trospium or tropsium. I was saying some other name, so
Oh,
sorry
nice.
for that. Yeah.
No, listen, it's okay. I mean, you're doing well, man. I was just spelling the word wrong. My podcast is open ended. It's gonna have to do as you
Mm.
take it. We don't have to practice here.
So
um,
basically, what I read about it, M1 receptors, they handle these cognitive abilities of a person. So when it activates those these act on the M1 receptors, it increases the clarity, and thus alleviate the symptoms of schizophrenia, which are obviously delirium and confusion.
yeah, I wanted to sort of go into how that process, describe that process step by
Mm.
step of what it describes. I'm trying to get it to explain that process here because the process is very interesting. So Cobenfy utilizes a new mechanism primarily targeting muscarinic receptors and exhibits specific psychopharmacological properties related to its two components, xanomeline, and trospium. Okay. The
Mhm.
receptor profile. Cobenfy is a combination of two active ingredients, xanomeline, which is the agonist, and tropium chloride, which is an antagonist. Okay, uh, designed to achieve selective muscarinic receptor activation in the brain. So you want to get selective muscarinic reception. Okay. Xanomeline acts as the agonist at the muscarinic acetylcholine receptors at M1 and M5. Now, these receptors are located in the brain only, right?
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
um, 1 and 4. I think no, I think it's 1 and 4 is in the brain right here. With the highest agonist activities, 1 and 4. 1 and 4 is located in the brain.
I
Okay.
think both are located in brains, as far as I
Okay.
know.
Okay.
Yeah.
These receptors are abundant in the CNS region and involved in cognition and behavior.
Mm.
So, this muscarinic acetylcholine network is, I use these medications, particularly as a medication, Aricept, use it all the time to help improve attention, concentration, and sensorium. And this is
Mm.
the problem with the medication Aricept is that it targets muscarinic receptors outside of the outside of the central nervous system, like the
Mm.
GI tract. So I try to improve cognition by giving Aricept, but because Aricept targets the muscarinic receptors in the GI tract, they can get diarrhea
Yeah. Increase
and they can get,
motility of, yeah,
yeah, runny nose or runny eyes because
sweating. Yeah.
you activating those muscarinic receptors
Mhm.
outside the body. So you're doing the fluids are running, the diarrhea, runny
Yeah.
nose, runny eyes.
Salivation and sweating and
Yeah, and so and that's one of the drawbacks of giving things like Aricept to try to help with patients with schizophrenia. But this addresses that right away, and so I think it's a very reasonable approach to address the cognitive symptoms and the cognitive problems in schizophrenia. Okay, yeah, okay, here. Okay, right. And trospium chloride is a general muscarinic antagonist,
Hmm.
right? That
Yeah.
is largely restricted to peripheral because it does not readily cross the blood-brain barrier. Amazing to put these two together
Yeah.
in the same pills.
I
So you're going to block the muscarinic receptors in the body to prevent from having the side effects, and then you're going to give the agonist in the CNS. This is amazing.
amazing. That's great idea. Yeah.
Isn't psychopharm amazing? It's amazing.
Yeah.
And the people who made this, I know they're sitting back in their luxury houses and all that. I think this, intelligence like this at this level is paid at a high premium. Because I can imagine the billions of dollars this medication is going to make on this. Can you imagine the researchers who found this? It was probably a doctor and a student and said, "Oh my God, Eureka!"
Eureka.
We're about to live we're about to get paid for the rest of our life. Here's this mechanism is awesome. But I think
uh,
that should probably be a strategy going on in the future to think about medications like that. You know,
mm,
now one of the things you're going to see is that I collect a lot of data on the patients that I take care of, right?
mhm,
And right now we're having our AI look through that data, and we're going to look to see if we can find relationships with things or enough data to be able to design things like that, to be able to come up with things like, or ask the AI, okay, so first we have so much data about patients, and then we're standardizing that data because we use like scales, like neuropsychiatric scale, depression rating scales, in
mm,
order for we can rate us patients' depressions. And when we got everybody's depression rating scale, then we have a database basis and we compare you to averages and means and things like that, so we can see where you fit in your whole population, uh,
mm,
right? So that's what we're doing now with our AI and things like that. But I think we're going to be able to ask it, can you please design an antipsychotic that can help do this? How would I design an antipsychotic that will help do this and that and that? And then see if they look at all the prescribing patterns, all this stuff and everything, look at the mechanism of the medications and all that stuff, and then come up with a reasonable pathway and see if it works.
but doc, I have always had this question about AI. It surely can search from the existing data. It can analyze things from the data which already exists, but can it create something new like humans? Does it have that creativity? Does AI have that creativity?
Yeah, so I would say that humans are not creating anything new. They're just replicating stuff that they've did in the past.
Mm.
Tell me something new you're gonna do today that you never did yesterday. The problem is you can't do today what you've been trying your best to do yesterday, and you've been trying your best to do the day before that. You still can't do
Uh,
it. Even the things that they want you to do, you can't do. How are you going to do something you never done before, right? So the
mm,
questions that they ask AIs are not even real questions. They're questions based
mm.
on grandiosity because you don't even have the capacity
We are like
to do the things
finding
that you are
pieces of.
questioning.
Mm.
You don't
We
think
are.
you can do that? So, like, okay, so we're looking at prediction systems,
Mm,
right? Okay,
yeah.
if and so here's what we're doing. Okay, if you come in, see me, and we take your do an evaluation, we'll take all that information, and we're going to look at in the database of all the patients I've been taking care of.
Mm,
We're going to find the exact group that you fit in
mm.
that matches you exactly.
Yeah.
Right? You're not alone.
Nothing is exclusive.
Right? And
Everything that has
then
happened to you has happened to somebody else as well. Yeah.
yeah, and then we look at the average in that group and see where you fit in. Are you at average, above average, or below?
Oh.
Right? So let's say this is a psychosis. Okay, so the men in your age group, your socioeconomic background, your diagnosis, your medical history, all y'all in the same group. And are your psychotic symptoms, are your hallucinations louder, the same
Mm,
or lower than
mm,
everybody in that group. The
mm.
average says the average in the group, let's say, is 5. And what if your average is 7 and
You
your
are at
score
higher
is 7,
risk. Mm,
right? Within that population.
mm,
But see, that's the only way that I can compare that population. So with all that data, AI is able to instantly aggregate enough data to what? Run a study.
mm. But still,
Right?
doc. Hmm.
So I'm running studies on patients with the data that I have.
Hmm.
And then when it says, okay, the patient's symptom psychosis is one deviation above the average, then that
Hmm.
means that, hey, there's a lot of dopaminergic activity going on there. Then I'm gonna have to block that dopaminergic activity. I may want to do a strategy where I can use an antipsychotic medication to start blocking those dopamine receptors. And then I
Hmm.
may want to use Cobenfy because the
Hmm.
Cobenfy is going to activate this muscarinic
Hmm.
nervous system, and that muscarinic nervous system actually leads to the reduction of the production of dopamine. So it
Hmm.
turns off the valve.
Hmm.
You see, so you don't produce as much dopamine. So the
Hmm.
cells don't release as much dopamine. So you blocking the receptors at one location and turning with the antipsychotic and then Cobenfy, you turning the release of dopamine out down. So not as
Ah.
much release.
Huh, 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 huh.
You see?
That's yeah.
Okay, yeah. Hold on, one second. Hold on, one second.
Sure, sure.
Okay. Okay, does that make sense, buddy?
Yeah, it does make sense. Yeah.
Okay. Um, okay. This peripheral action of tropism blocks the side effects such as nausea, GI distress that xanomeline would otherwise cause outside the brain.
Hmm.
Right? If it hit those receptors outside the brain. Okay, key distractions. Unlike typical antipsychotics, Cobenfy does not bind to dopamine D2 receptors. Its therapeutic effects in schizophrenia is thought to stem from the M1 M4 activation modulating dopamine release in
In
specific
specific
of
way.
the brain, thereby avoiding many of the motor and metabolic side effects associated with D2 blockades.
So
It
the
makes
key word is in specific brain areas.
mhm.
Like it
Yeah,
stimulates brain dopamine release in specific
yep.
brain areas. Yeah.
Yeah, specifically the areas that cover these with the M1 M4 receptors, like here.
Yeah.
Also, here, psychopharmacokinetic properties. The psychopharmacokinetic properties describe how the body processes the two components of Cobenfy, which impacts its action and side effects for each profile. Okay, Cobenfy is an oral tablet taken twice a day on an empty stomach. Okay, xanomeline is primarily metabolized by the CYP2D6 system. Okay, see, okay. Interaction with strong CYP2D inhibitors, such as fluoxetine, Zoloft, or Paxil.
Hmm.
Zoloft or Paxil, okay. That will enhance its activities. Oh, okay. So if the medication doesn't really work as well, you can give Zoloft or Paxil to cause it to work well, to inhibit it. So if you start the patient on this medication, the patient
Cobenfy.
start to improve but start having side effects, you may want to just go ahead and start a Paxil Prozac
Hmm.
um, to activate this external component more to eliminate the side effects in the body. Make
Hmm.
sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Tropium chloride undergoes phase 2 metabolism via glucuronidation.
Hmm.
Glucuronidation, okay, metabolism is the process of removing the molecules from the lipid soluble space and moving into the aqueous space, the water soluble space. And so
Yeah.
first it does that by even putting on a hydroxyl group or a type of molecule on it. You put a hydroxyl group on the molecule, then it's able to become more water soluble because now it's a polar molecule. Now, glucuronidation is when you put a whole compound like a glucose molecule on it, and that makes it very aqueous, and now it can move from this lipid compartment to the aqueous compartment and then be expelled from the body. And so that's what that glucuronidation is, to make the molecule more polar so it can be excreted during the urine.
Yeah.
Okay, does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it does make sense.
Yeah. Okay, elimination of half-life, because most of the medication will dissolve like in your fat. So if medication dissolved in your fat, well, how are you going to get rid of it?
Yeah, exactly. You have to have it.
So if you go ahead and put a hydroxyl group on it, it's going to move from the fat to this
Water
aqueous
soluble.
environment. And then if you go ahead and put it on again with a huge molecule, it's never going to go into that fat compartment again. And so it's going to be flushed out like a toxin. You know, elimination, 5 hours trumps 6 hours. Protein binding. Okay, protein binding. Xanomeline exhibits high protein boundaries around 95%. So that means that only 5% of the medication is active, because the other 5% is inactive.
It's binded, yeah.
Yeah. And so if you have things like malnutrition and a decrease in amount of albumin in your blood, then you have less albumin, less bound, and so more of it inside the serum, right?
So it will induce some side effects, yeah.
Yeah, and this is reviewing all your lessons, isn't it? You reviewing all your lessons, aren't you?
I'm back into classroom, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And I think that's all I want to do for that. And then it's 21 minutes. I didn't want to have this type of lecture go on for too long, other than 10 minutes. Okay, so this is and there's a pharmaceutical sales rep that was been trying to get in touch with me, and here's her stuff. So I just wanted to let her know I reviewed her materials. And I think that's all I need. Hey, buddy, that's it for today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Doc.
And it's a pleasure working with you, buddy. Okay?
Thank you, Doc.
Ciao, guys.
Bye.
Take care.
Peace out.